Welcome to the Ark Podcast, where business meets faith, meets real stories and real people. Today, we are so honored to have an amazing communicator, a business strategist, a father, a husband, more than anything else, a social justice advocate, Lorato Tshenkeng. Welcome, sir.
Good day, Pastor Q. Thank you so much for hosting me.
So you're a man that wears many hats and you occupy many seats in many spaces. So behind that man, who are you?
Moruti, I'm just an ordinary young man born in Taung, a small village in the northwest, absolutely significant in the context that is the cradle of humankind, right? So the oldest human skull was discovered there by a Professor Tobias, who's from Wits University. And of course, as things would happen, my parents chasing gold, they eventually ended in Garangua. And I've lived in Pretoria for at least better part of my adulthood, and that's where I met the sweetheart of my life. We Dumelo, who's my wife of 23 years now, and we have amazing 3 young children. Oamogetswe, who is completing his degree at AFDA, one of the film schools here in Johannesburg, and Reabetsu Neo, who's first year at UCT. She's into, she's doing a qualification in financial mathematics. And our Latlameki, I guess my wife and I were enjoying ourselves too much, and she decided to pop. But that's the thing that, and I mentioned them specifically because these are the people that ground me, right? With everything else, I'm the guy that says, it's time to go home because I know what it is that I find there.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love that background, and I love the fact that family is key to you. So behind family, who else are you?
Behind family, I care about many things, right? And one of them is the place where I live in. And when I say the place, I mean South Africa, right? And for that reason, back in 2008, when the country was finding itself in a very interesting time and moment with, remember when President Thabo Mbeki was being recalled as the ANC or as the president of the country at the time. And of course, then there was an interim president. It was then when I would not say I was apolitical before that moment, but it was at the time when I then became politically active. And I was one of, the co-founders of Congress of the People, a very new party that was going to shake things up in the country. Damn squib, it didn't happen that way. But of course, it's good that, I participated there. And ever since then, I have been very active in democracy building of South Africa. And for a simple reason, Ruth, I don't want my children to leave South Africa to go to what they consider to be a better country because they are running away. They must go there and explore because they are seeing opportunities, whether it's education, economic, or maybe they find wives there, right? It must not be because they are being chased by something here. So that's the thing that really gets me very excited. So I'm a non-executive chairman of Rivonia Cycle, which is a political think tank. So and that's the thing that, every time when I think about all the problems in South Africa, whether it's safety, crime, and I say, that's my small contribution that I'm going to use to say that the girls in South Africa will be safe because of that small contribution. So that's the one part.
Wow, I just picked so much passion. Yes. So much passion in that you are a community builder. You mentioned something in line with Rivonia, and I know you are involved somewhere there as well in a mentorship capacity. Please tell me more about that.
So one of the other things that I participate in is a friend of mine and a good brother, Rams Mabote. He runs a development NPO around mentorship of young boys in particular. And typically because, if you think about us culturally, Amaxhosa have, initiation. And we know almost every time in the middle of the year, there's this thing that looks at transitioning from boyhood to manhood, right? But when you think about people like us as Botswana, we don't have that, right? So, and it's almost evident in many other places where there isn't this, call it formalized way of saying, how do you transform from, or at least navigate the changes that come from you being a boy and now becoming a man. And Rams established what he calls Future Kings, which literally looks at young boys, and majority of it has to do with positive role modeling, right? And we decided through my PR agency, the business that I run, to say, one, you are going to be our for life pro bono client. And in fact, even in my will, I've written it there that should God remember me and this company continue to exist, this project will always be attached to this business. And they must find money to ensure that they support this mission.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Speaking of fatherhood, because that's an issue really that we are lacking not only in South Africa, but in the world, specifically in Africa. How do you think we must navigate in terms of alleviating the gap that is there in terms of fathers that are not so much late, but they are there, but they're absent?
So I think, one of the things that I think that we don't do enough of, it is done, right? I don't think that we spend time in recognizing the moments, right? And what I mean by this is that, so you think about people like you and I, our age, right? Our parents, to a great extent, and it may not necessarily be specifically them, but they lived in an age of migrant labor, right? So their absence was not because of their choice, right? If you think about South Africa in particular, right? And what that meant, it meant that, they thought that when I just bring the money, it's good enough. And what it therefore meant was that then the mothers became the almost natural nurturers, right? And now you find us who we now live at home. We at least sleep at home, many more days in the week. But we still attached to how we were socialized. And that is why in the home, we are not even recognizing that. But being at home, I must, in a good way, inspire my children and show them that men cook.
Do you cook?
Yes, I am. Listen, I am very good.
Very good.
Yes, cook. All of these other things, businessman, I think I do them okay.
Cooking?
No. I may not be a master chef level, but definitely, right? But the point that I'm demonstrating with this is that if we don't recognize the moment, then we're always then going to be dealing with where almost men want, and allow me to use this example. You may remember recently there was a judgment that recognizes that, in fact, men can take their wives' surnames. The men, if you just read on social media, the men were like, no, we are changing us. And I said, firstly, that judgment is not saying any man is forced to take their wife's surname.
That's right.
But secondly, what is so disempowering about us recognizing that there was a moment when she used to take my surname. Yes. And then there was a moment where there was a double barrel surname. Right. And now we are going to a moment where, in fact, it can be the other way around. Yes. So instead of debating what that moment means, we are hung on it has always been done that way. And that's what I'm saying. I think we are, the men of our generation, some of them are still stuck in the role, the gender role stereotyping, where, some of us, we often say, no, in my house, we don't, gender stereotype. But you see by how the men conduct themselves. Yes. I come home, put my feet up, and then I say, in the case of my wife, she'd say, in fact, on Sundays, she does not cook. Okay. So it means that I had to make sure that, on days that she's not cooking, do we get takeaway? Do we go out? So it means that, we then have to find ways. So I'm just saying, from a conceptual point, I don't think that we have enough conversations about what moments mean. And with positive parenting as an example, again, as a moment, what does it mean? Because when you listen to people who talk about discipline and children, they feel a little bit disempowered. Yes. And then instead, what do they want to do? They say, we must continue smacking the children. Yes. And say, but this moment is not that kind of moment where in our days, we used to understand that when you smacked, it's a way of disciplining you. Yes. But now our children are in a different moment. So what does that mean from a father point of view?
Wow, I love that. So what do we need to do? Because I'm hearing you speaking about how you have evolved.
Sure.
And I would like to pick your brain to men that are watching right now who are stuck in the past,
Sure.
who will say, I will not wash dishes, I will not cook. The only form of discipline is that if I beat my kids, that's the way to go.
Yes.
But you are not that kind of a man.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
But I must say, there was a time when I was also stuck.
Okay.
So, for the better part of my young life, I'm only 46 this year. I was in Anglican. I was I was even an altar boy, right? And then, of course, then transition from Anglican to be in a Pentecostal church. So, now I'm in that, right? And what that meant is that in Anglican, women don't wear pants to church, right? Yes. Now I'm in this new church where women can wear pants. Moruti, there was a time, and I'm not proud of it at all. I have asked God, and I've repented many times for this, where I would not go to church because my wife was wearing pants.
Wow.
Right? So I'm saying the importance of being self-aware, because then I got to a point where I was like, is this the kind of life I want to live? Where now this woman comes back from church, and I'm angry at her simply because she wore pants to church.
Wow.
Right? And there was a moment of reckoning where I then decided that this is a foolish thing that I am doing. Right? So the thing that, or at least the question that you're asking, I think we need, as men, we need to be a lot more self-aware. Because it is out of self-awareness where you're going to recognize foolishness.
Oh, wow.
And once you recognize foolishness, when you do something about it, the likelihood is that your life is going to be a lot better. That is why I believe I'm married to Bitumelo for 23 years now, because I dropped all the foolishness.
And you started cooking.
And I...
Right there.
Yes.
Awesome. That is so beautiful. So how is exposure? What role does it play in us as men becoming not so much as maybe the best version, but the better version of who we've been brought up to be?
Yeah. Exposure is everything. So our office in Sentin is just across the Gautrain station, right? And every time when I peek through the window, I see these tiny tots, walking in a line, guided by their teacher. They're all excited because they are now in Sentin. They would have taken a journey, from somewhere, maybe from the East End or anywhere else, right? They would have used the Gautrain. And I look at that and say, I know they don't have a full comprehension of this moment. But their excitement talks to, they are recognizing that they are in a different space. And a very the space that says to them, you can now start to dream.
Wow.
Because if you are from Katlehong, the tallest building is the neighbor with a double story.
Oh.
Right? But now when you are here, you literally cannot see the third building because this other building is literally obscuring. And now you then recognize that these are not the things that I only see on TV. That my teacher took me on this excursion. It now opens my world and my world view to different things. But when you're a tiny tot, you may not really appreciate that, right? And I think as men, it is that then the exposure. So one, I don't think that we do mentoring enough because I think to a certain extent, people want to hear things that are only affirming. So if you tell me how good I am, I'm like, yes, Moruti. If you tell me that, no, listen, you are a good father, I like that. But if you're to tell me that, I don't think that our wives have signed up for this thing. This thing that you're doing, it is not good. Guess what? That may be the last time you and I have tea.
True.
Right? So I think that would be that is the first thing, right? We need to be intentional about mentorship.
Yes.
Right? Where I want to have somebody who holds me accountable, because I see mentorship really as that, right? And the advantage and the benefit of mentorship is that I've recognized when I mentor somebody, I actually want to mentor myself as well. Because the things that I say to you, they reverb, right? And it is that reverb that I remind myself that, in fact, I need to do more of this that I've just told you to do more of, right? The second thing is, particularly around exposure, is that there are things that limit your way of either dreaming or thinking bigger because of the messages that I've been telling myself, right? And now that I hear that, you're telling me that, oh, by the way, we just signed up McDonald's, as an ad agency, we're going to be working in other markets on the continent. I then realized that, my passport has not been stamped. And now there's an opportunity for me to be thinking about business in that way, where my passport is not going to be stamped because I'm a tourist in a different country. But now I'm actually doing business in those different markets. So exposure does that to you, where there's somebody that not only do I look up to, but somebody that is a brother, somebody that, ordinarily, when you say things, they affirm my existence and my essence. And then it becomes easier for me to say it is believable.
I love that. I love that. So you have had humble beginnings in terms of building certain business entities. You built, you felt, you started low, but now you are at a certain level where you are recognized as somebody successful. How is your faith played in all that?
It is everything. And everything in the sense that, there are many days when the body wakes up because the clock would have said it's time to wake up. But there are things that you tell yourself and say, do I have to wake up? And then you remember the small little paper that where I wrote that in the next 5 years, I want this agency to be turning 5 million rands. And at that time, we were only turning over about 200,000 rands. I'm so far away from that 5 million rands. But the belief that I've put enough to get to 200, from 0 to 200. So recognizing that it's a for me to get there, it's a combination of the work that I've put in, the networks that I've leveraged, but importantly, the ability to put myself out there. More than anything else is me betting on myself. And faith is, to me, it's that, right? I must always bet on myself. When our children, unlike many other children in South Africa, they are not, beneficiaries of the free education system of the National Financial Scheme, right? Mainly because of, my wife and I, and just a little bit more than an ordinary South African. What that means is that we need to pay from our own pocket. My daughter goes to UCT, which is the number one university in South Africa. They're not only number one because they are good academically, but also because people have to pay more. What that means, Muruti, is that because of that, I then need to recognize that I need to work a lot more harder. Right? Somebody may ask, where were you when people were, when you had a child and you were meant to do an education policy? That is one of the mistakes I made. So I grew up, I was working, and then instead of thinking about, I need to put in an education policy for my children, I did not. But now that I'm here, I can't say, I don't have an education policy. I'm like, it means that I have to work 10 times hard. And it is faith that then enables me to pay this expensive school fees because I know that it's going to benefit my daughter. But also I need to honor the fact that she didn't bring herself to the world, right? And that she wants to study at UCT. I then have to honor that demand from me as the father.
That's good. That's good. Do we have a problem with entitlement in South Africa?
I don't like yes and no answer because I train people I do media training for a lot of executives, and I often say to them that don't do this thing of yes and no, right? But allow me just this once to say yes and no, right? Yes, because I am observing that there are, and again, it may be a number of things, right? Socialization, but culture, right? Where almost people get the sense that if you earn more, you need to do more. And people even use the scripture to say, to whom much is given, much is expected, right? You then recognize, but this is a trap, right? Why are you also not working hard so that you can also be to whom much is given, much is expected?
I love that.
Right?
That. Yes.
The no is then that how we all come up, and whether it's in a workspace, right, where literally people come in at the same time, and some are not able to, do better. It is not as a result of their own doing. So I do, as somebody who runs a business, from time to time I then interview people for job posts that we would have put out. you then recognize that there would be this brilliant young black child. You look at their CV, you see that this black child is good, but then they are so inarticulate, Muruti. Them being inarticulate is as a result of the education system through which they've been.
Wow.
Right? Wow. You then find this other one, right? Very boisterous in how they present themselves, very confident, but a lot of emptiness in what they project.
Oh, wow.
Again, it is because of the education system through which they have been, right? This education system teaches them to say, look people in the eye when you speak. Speak to them with confidence. Yes. Shoulders, back. Yes. And you then realize that some people get ahead in life because of the soft skills they would have received. And that is why I'm saying no, in that sense that there are many people who are held back because of how they were socialized, the education system through which they have passed, and it is not even helping that when you discover, you see, you have a tablet here, there are children who only get to have their own gadget when they do their first year at university. Okay. How far back is that child? So when they then say, listen, there needs to be something that equalizes. I don't see it as entitlement. It is saying we need to recognize 30 years into our democracy, there are things that we need to do better, right? When job posts come out and a job post says you need to have a driver's license, this kid who lives with granny and has been living with granny forever, where are they going to get the license from, right? So if they were then to make a little bit of a higher demand from those in power to say, no, but you need to enable us to get licensed by the time we get to grade 12. It is not entitlement. It is recognizing that when I get into a job market, they are going to demand of me a license. So if I don't have the means, I'm already disadvantaged.
I love that. You know why I asked that? Because earlier on we were discussing, and one thing I'm picking about you is that you have made it clear that no one is coming to help you. You have made it that clear. So you are not only a self-starter, but you are also educating those around you to work hard. And I think that's what we need in this nation, to say no one is coming to help us. And that message must radiate beyond the borders of South Africa into Africa, that no one is coming to help you. Absolutely. So one of those things that I wanted to really, really pick your brain on is that you say that at Decode, which is your
PR agency.
Exactly.
Yes.
What is PR?
I say PR is what you do and not what you say. Often public relations is, people think of it as people clean you up and you look good in front of people, right? But when you look at the back of the house, you realize that people do a lot of wrong things. I'll use a simple example. So there was this young chap called Adam Katsavelos. Adam Katsavelos, from a Greek family. His family produces basting sauces. These basting sauces are sold to, these high-end restaurants, right? This young chap, in his racist moment, is in Greece. I'm not sure which town he was in. He held his camera and he said, "There is no K-word person inside," right? Him demonstrating how excited he is about not seeing black people that don't look like him. One of the things that happened was that once that video was viral, his business, the people that are buying the basting sauce, publicly made a declaration that we are cutting ties with the Katsavelos family. We are no longer going to be buying sauces from them. Wow. Public relations, therefore, does the thing where we help businesses reflect on, it is not just about how you look to the public, because they looked good when they were selling basting sauces. You and I were enjoying the steaks in those restaurants because of this basting sauce. But what they were doing in the back of the house did not serve. And again, people will always have moments of indiscretion, right? This one is not indiscretion. He's being just pure foolishness, right? But it affected the bottom line, because now they lost contracts. And so in part of the work that we do is that we say, one, we help companies and organizations to communicate their impact loudly. And the loudly part is when we use media platforms, particular traditional media, social media in the main. But in the main, we then help you to reflect on the decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis.
Wow, I love that. I know that you wear many hats, and right now I would like you to wear your politics and your business and your social hat right now. Do we have racism or crime problem in South Africa?
We have both.
Okay.
Yes. So the racism problem, it comes in the sense that if you observe the structure of the economy, and I in fact had a conversation with a young chap in the Gautrain. By the way, this is my 10th year without my own car.
Wow.
I commute everywhere. And he was saying, yeah, but black people must always think about, you must look forward and get it. You see, when you and Tsepo are in the same department, he's an engineer, right? You and Tsepo are in the same department, and your boss is Uncle Pete, and Uncle Pete and you are not racist, right? And Uncle Pete comes to you and says that I'm going to give you the opportunity to advance your career, and he does not give the same to Tsepo. Yes. You must recognize how you are contributing to the institutional racism. So that is how it is racist. The second example, Sello Hatang, who used to be the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Foundation.
Yes.
I'm told he was at UP, University of Pretoria, and in a class, and he says to young chaps to say, how many of you in this class, and it's a mixed race class, how many of you in this class would date a person that does not look like you? All of the black people raised their hands. Yes. All of the white people did not, or maybe one or two white people did not raise their hands. And then he decided to pick one of the young people, one white young chaps, to ask, why would you not date a person that does not look like you? And by the way, my answer is that I would date that person, but I reflected on what my family and how my family would treat this person.
Wow.
Right? Because immediately I start dating them because I love them.
Yes.
Then now I cannot come home with them. I cannot speak publicly about them. I cannot be affectionate publicly with this person. Wow. So we have the race problem in that way, that even in this day and age, young people feel that they are going to be pariahs in their own families, in their own communities, because they are dating across the race line. Wow. Crime, sadly. So Morudi, one of the things that I believe that it would start with, yourselves and other pastors helping us. And why pastors? Because at least you have a touch with a huge community once a week. And the people literally, are there to take in what you say, right? Reflect on it over the week, and then they come back again. We have a problem of law and order in South Africa. So if you just look at how ordinarily in the mornings, peak hour traffic, previously, it used to be taxi drivers only who would drive on the shoulder of the road. But now you'd see this young, pretty, 25-looking lady with an L on the back of her, her windscreen. Yes. And you can imagine that possibly she just, recently bought the car. Yes. It looks so new, but yet she's now on the shoulder of the road. Wow. Right? Wow. And it looks frivolous if you think about, that to say, yeah, but, she's just driving on the shoulder of the road. That conduct talks to when somebody comes to them and then they are trying to sell them this tablet. They don't ask, where did you get it? Because now somebody stole that. And now, so when there's no law and order, when as citizens we are used to doing the wrong things, when people come to us with things that would have been stolen, we easily take it. When there's an opportunity for us to pay a fine when a traffic cop stops you, instead of you accepting the fine, what do? You give them the bribe. Wow. So you see how that lack of law and order then aids and abets this thing. Because now when there's no market for TVs that are stolen, where are these ones going to sell them? Right? So it means that they are going to be sitting with stock. They now can't sell it. So there's now no need for them to steal. So I'm saying there's a lifeblood that needs to be cut by you and I. Right? Of course, then there's the other side where, if you just listen to the stories that are being told now in the Madlanga Commission, you realize how rotten our safety, and justice system is. You then say, we then need to fix that. And you see how I'm now talking about the responsibility just can't be one way, and the accountability just can't be one way. As citizens, we have the responsibility, the cops have a responsibility, the justice system has a responsibility. And I think if we address those many areas when there are jobs, then we are likely to find a balance in ensuring that crime is minimized.
Wow, I love that. And I love the fact that in our conversation, if anything at all, you keep bringing the aspect of accountability. You keep bringing the aspect that we police each other. So that is so important. But tell me something. You co-founded Rural Brands, and now you run Decode Communications. How has it been in terms of legacy building?
Anyone who is looking to go into a business partnership, there are things that we take for granted, value systems, right? I think we assume that when you and I are friends, we actually look and aspire to the same values, right? And we don't even check that, right? And you are now going to find out that while you and I may believe in loving family, you and I believe in making money, but my greed is a little bit more. And that is why when somebody is going to ask us to be participating in a greedy moment and opportunity, I then go in there. That's becomes the first point of our conflict, right? Or at least a source of conflict. So when you go into business partnership, I would encourage, because I've been in a business partnership before, and I've seen how there were many things that I believed were aligned with our business partners. And then there was the money thing that we didn't really think a lot harder about. But I also did not blame us that much, because I was like, when I look in my family, there weren't many people who had run businesses before. So we're literally the first generation to start and run our own businesses. So some of these lessons we're always going to learn by paying school fees, as it were, right? But now that there are many people who have the opportunity to see you and I running our own businesses, that's one of the things that I believe that we should learn about the importance of values aligning. And I even sometimes make a simple example of, at Decode Communications, we are not going to shun away an alcohol brand should they come to us for services, right? Guess what, Muruti? The only time I had an alcohol beverage was in church during Eucharist.
Wow.
So I don't consume alcohol.
Yes.
I don't. But you see the thing that I'm saying.
Yes.
I'm likely to at some point hire a Muslim person.
Yes.
Muslims don't drink alcohol. They don't participate. They even, in their establishments, there's no alcohol.
Yes.
The thing that is going to then have to happen around values is for me to think about, when there's an opportunity for this person to work on this campaign, if they're brilliant on messaging around education, right, I would need to reckon with the fact that they may say, remember that my faith prohibits me. It is, as they say in Islam, it is haram for me to be participating in a thing like this. And the ability to recognize that we uphold values, it's a big thing.
I love that. So I love the fact that you're highlighting again the need for the values to be able at the same level, and leaving a legacy, because it's key. If we're going to be successful in the future, are you leaving a legacy?
So one of the things that I said in one of the latest articles that I was quoted, I spoke about, if you look around, right, it's sadly a reality of black people and black businesses. Tell me, just off the top of your head, which black business can you mention that is 100 years old or that recently celebrated its 100th anniversary? Right? But I can tell you about many white-owned businesses. And I understand. Listen, we lived in an oppressive system for a very long time, right? And that contributes to that not being the norm. And it was, when reflecting on that, I said, Decode is going to be a 100-year-old business at some point. I'm recognizing that, listen, I'm not going to live like Abraham, right? But the systems that I'm putting in place, the kind of mission that I put in place, the kind of people that I employ, and just literally I'm able to say to them that we are going to be 100 years old. So people like saying, if you think about, NASA, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but apparently even cleaners, they would answer the question when they say, why are you here? They would say, we are taking a man to the moon, right? So everyone understood in its simplest form the mission of NASA.
Wow.
And that's what I try and do at Deco, to say we are building a 100-year-old business.
Wow. I love that. I love that. Sir, as we wrap up, you're not just a thought leader or an intelligent man. You have a beautiful mind. And I'm honored to have sat down and tried to just decode just an aspect, a little bit of that mind. And some quick questions and quick fire questions for you. Books or podcasts?
Books.
If you were not the CEO of Decode Communications, actually, if you were not in communications, what else would you be?
I would be the CEO of the Steve Biko Foundation.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that. What is a scripture or a biblical story that inspires you?
The biggest is really around Timothy, because in fact, when I was younger, there was and I would not call him a mentor as such, but it was, a gentleman who used to just like encouraging us as young people and say, let no man despise your youth or you because you are young. The likelihood is that many people are going to judge you based on your age.
Yes.
And what I've done is that I've then, almost put it inversely, where I'm like, I must never be in a place where I look down on younger people because I think that they don't have life experience, they don't have work experience. I must actually always be lending an ear, because there may be wisdom that comes out of that.
Wow, I love that. I absolutely love that. Leadership in one word.
Service.
Service. Last but not least, what is the best advice you have ever received?
There's a gentleman called Victor Khomeswana. He's an advocate of Africa is Open for Business, encouraging all of us to see Africa as not as a breadbasket, not as people who are always begging or borrowing, but people who are actually the breadbasket of the world, right? He often said to me, our wives have not signed up for this. So sometimes I'll be coming to him and then I'll be talking about some of the challenges I'm going through. And a lot of it would have to do with a limited ability to provide for my family.
Yes.
And then he would remind me that your wife may be unhappy that you are not doing as well. It is because she didn't sign up to struggle. And I always remember that. So one, it does not put me under pressure to, now do all of, but it always reminds me that when I took this woman from her home and we said we are going to cleave together, there's a particular thing that I need to be able to do as a husband, as a man, as a friend, and as a father, and as a brother to the many young cousins, that I am to. And it is that I, when I joke with my children, I say, if there's a dinghy with 2 seats, it's only my wife and I. We know how to procreate. So if the Lord decides that He's going to take all of you, we can make another one, right? So that is why it is always that. Listen, this woman, I made a choice to go to her parents to say, I want you to be my lifelong friend. And therefore, when Bravik says to me that she didn't sign up for, not being able to buy Le Creuset pots because now I'm fooling around, I must recognize that and then do better, enable her to buy Le Creuset pots.
Yes. Wow. Absolutely beautiful and well spoken. Sir, it's been an honor just talking and finding out the men behind the many titles, the men behind the many heads and so forth. And I believe that you have inspired us. I believe that you have spoken to many of us, and we're looking forward to becoming at least small version of the men you are becoming. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
I really appreciate the opportunity, Moruti.
Blessings to you.